Hi, today we're going to be talking about the cannonball effect. Now, you might be wondering what that is exactly. Well, it's that kind of fighting and arguing that happens the minute you walk in the door after a hard day's work.
And you're just like overwhelmed.
Absolutely. I used to say that divorces like to happen between 5 and 7 p.m. in the evening because that's when what we call the cannonball effect happens.
Right.
So we're going to ask you, does it sound familiar that when you walk in the door of your home after a long day at the office, you get bombarded in every kind of way from your partner, from your kids? Absolutely. And you get a bunch of I needs from your partner, or how comes, or did you know this? Did you know that? It's really akin to an emotional ambush right as you walk into your home.
Right. So the cannonball effect gets its name from the feeling that when you come home after a full day or after being away for hours,
running errands or doing different things,
right, that you just become bombarded by your partner and your children. Like, so what did you do? And I've been waiting for you, and I need you to do this, and I need you, a lot from spouse, I need you to do this, I need you to do that. Why hasn't this happened?
I need you to go discipline the kids,
right,
take care of this. Johnny's in his bedroom screaming, you need to go handle it.
And sometimes you're so bombarded, you either like totally shut down, or you want to say, you start attacking, like, how can this house be so messy? What were you doing during the day? Or you just, it's such a bad negative place because it's like a wave.
Or like a cannonball. It's really like a cannonball gets shot at you right when you walk in the door,
right,
because you get run through with questions, demands, stories. And this is all before you had a chance to set your keys down.
Right. Or breathe. Or
anything. Exactly.
Go to the bathroom.
Now, the cannonball effect happens for most people because they haven't given themselves or their partner any transition time,
right,
from the several hours away from the house back into home life.
Now, it's not the partner who's been there and waiting. It's not that there's some terrible person. They've been waiting. They have needs also, and they also don't have a transition time, right, of what's happening. And they're just counting the minutes till you get home to help, or get home to tell you about something, a bad day, something at the office, something with their mother, with your mother.
Right. It just feels like daddy, 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 mommy, mommy, mommy. Right. I've been waiting for you. Come play with me. Or your partner saying, thank God you're here. I need you. It's just demand after demand after demand. And what we've seen over and over in couples is the poor partner who's walking into the door, like Sarah said, gets defensive, becomes angry, right, is overwhelmed, and can't do anything.
Or totally shut down.
Exactly.
So it's either one or the other. Either they're like saying these nasty things to you, and you're like, who are they? Or you just like not talking, and you right, like go away, and your partner is like, what's your problem? Like.
And it's for the partner that's been waiting home all day. They're anxious, they're desperate, they're overwhelmed, they're feeling flooded with information, and they're eager to get it off their chest. So they're feeling just as poorly. And it's right, like, that's when you get double cannonballs.
Right.
Because both partners are feeling like crap.
You're not a partner, you're not a parent.
Or you don't care about me, you don't care about the relationship,
yes,
you don't care about anything.
Yes.
That's what the partner that's been at home all day will share with the partner that's walked in. Well, we have a habit oftentimes of, if we're the ones that are home all day, of wanting to share everything with the person that just walked in the door. And it can feel like you're dumping on your partner, like Sarah
right,
said. And what happens then is the partner that just walked in dismisses everything, doesn't hear a word, and nobody gets what they wanted.
Right.
So what we've seen time and time again is that what couples really seem to need is an established transition time that balances acknowledgement with connection in the relationship. And that gives both partners what they need when they walk in the door.
A re-entry routine.
Right. And we also call
we have the transition time and a re-entry routine.
Yep. And this is like couples choreography is what we often call it.
Right.
And these are talking about the moves that are needed to ensure a smooth transition from your work life or your errand life back to home life, because they're two totally different energies. And we'll talk about that in a second.
Right.
We're working with a couple right now, Jan and Freddie. Of course, we changed the names. And they were struggling right now with the cannonball effect in their relationship.
Yes, major.
Yeah, because Jan's a stay-at-home mom when she has 3 adolescent boys, which is a handful. And Freddie's a working executive here in Los Angeles, and he travels 2 hours total each way for their commute. And before this couple started using these agreements and the transition time, they would have huge arguments every time Freddie got home.
Right.
It was like he could count on it. And frankly, this dynamic was wrecking their marriage.
Right, because in that type of argument, both people feel bad. You feel like your guts have been wrenched out.
And Freddie found out that he wasn't able to be an attentive father or husband because frankly, he was so drained
from the traffic,
right?
Let alone the full day and the traffic, that he was just out of it.
Right. And the problem was that before Jen and Freddie created this agreement routine, Freddie would just disappear to the couch. That was his coping mechanism. Maybe some of you do that. You run to the couch, or you turn the TV on, or you escape to the bathroom, jump in the shower, do anything rather than be bombarded. And poor Jan was losing her mind. So they agreed that they would try to strike a balance for both of them. And this is where we worked with them. And they agreed
First
that
was the understanding that both partners needed something, either the transition time, or that they had a lot of stuff that they needed, information they needed to pass over, so that they would begin by understanding with empathy and compassion of what each of them needed.
And just how flammable that period from 5 to 7 o'clock at night, or whenever it is that you come home from work, or a full day of errands is, that time's a really hot period if you're going to get into distress. Bottle of water. So
I should have bought one.
I wish it was a bottle of wine. So what they agreed on is that when Freddie came home, the first thing he would do, he would seek Jan out. So he would come, find Jan, say hello, give her a kiss or a hug, and let her know that I'm going to my office for a bit. And then Jan agreed that she would say good. And when you come out, for example, son number 2 needs you. Son number 1 has some homework, and we're having dinner in an hour. So by seeking out
the major things. So they connected. He would say something like, happy to be home, happy to see you again. It's so
and
good.
give her a kiss and a hug.
Yes. So that they had both a physical and
an emotional connection.
Connection.
So by seeking out his wife and acknowledging her with a kiss, Freddie's letting his wife know that she matters. And by Freddie allowing Jan to share with him the agenda, Jan felt like she got what she needed to say out right in the beginning. So when he gave her that 3 to 5 minutes before he goes into his office to collect himself, everything got cleared up.
Right. Because she got an acknowledgement that she existed, that there were real stuff, and he got a little bit of time. Now, this is also important, and we'll talk about it again. It's not just when you're away for the day at work. Sometimes people are away for 2 or 3 hours. They've gone running, exercise, to the gym,
to
plus
Costco,
an errand,
which can be a 3-hour ordeal.
Doctor's appointment. It could be anything that takes you away for 2 or 3 hours, so that the temperament has changed,
the mood has changed, the mindset's changed. And what was really key for Jan and Freddie was Jan also agreed to give Freddie up to 45 minutes of uninterrupted time alone in Freddie's office. That's where he would retreat to, into his home office, so that he could unwind and refocus his energy.
Right. So the time period we suggest is somewhere between 15 to 45 minutes, depending upon what the needs are of you as a couple.
Right. And what was great is they agreed as a family. So the kids knew, everybody knew that this was Dad's time, his transition time. And that once Dad emerged from the office, he was ready and agreeable to be a great husband and father.
Yes. So at that point, he comes out and he's present, 100% present for the new hat that he's wearing, which is dad, father, husband, partner.
Right. And this is exactly the type of agreement that they needed, because before this, Jan would follow Freddie around to the TV, trying to badger him. I need this, I need that. And it was a constant bombardment that never ended. And
it's not funny. I mean, it's horrible. I mean, people, they feel just terrible, and they feel like they're just being slapped around, both of them. And we see it so often, which is why we're talking about it today.
Because when Jan came in, she accused Freddie of being a narcissist, a self-indulgent human being who didn't want or care a thing about her or her family.
Right.
And what Freddie was unable to communicate to Jan, which happened in session, was that, look, he works all day in an analytic setting in Los Angeles. He has 2 hours of traffic. So when he gets home, he doesn't even feel like a human being. He was totally frazzled. But because Jen used to bombard him, he couldn't ever say those things.
Right.
So,
he would just shut down, not say a word. He would just retreat.
Absolutely retreat.
Yeah.
And you see his inability to join the needs and wants of his family made him look like he didn't care. Instead, all he needed was a transition space, something to help him in the routine before he got home, and then he would, and Jan did really well.
Right. It really changed the course of what's going on.
Right.
How do you know if you need one of these? How often do you argue and one of you come home?
Right, exactly. Exactly.
And even if you're both working, sometimes it's even worse
Oh.
because there's stuff that has to get done. And then how do you do it? You take
Right.
turns, see what's going on. You really need to talk about it and then set up some agreements.
You see, because it doesn't really matter who you are, like Sarah's insinuating, everyone needs a transition time from home to work. So before you do the logistics.
From work to home.
Yes, from work to home. Thank you.
Anytime.
Before you work out the logistics of what happens when you walk in the door, there are a couple things actually that as the returning partner you can do first.
Right. Which really does help you be more clear when you come into the house.
And like Sarah likes to say, failure to plan is planning to fail.
Yeah.
So if you're the partner that's away at work or away on errands all day, you want to remind each other that this is a really difficult topic to talk about, and that the cannonball effect overwhelms you. Yeah.
I'm sorry to talk over you. So the reason that it's so hard is that everybody gets real defensive. Well, I've been at work. I've been doing this. I've been doing that. The kids are throwing up. Whatever it is, we feel like all of a sudden there was something wrong, and we get really defensive, and it just ratchets up the level of intensity.
Right. So before, on a time when you're not walking in the door, like on a weekend or a morning during breakfast, we encourage you to spend 15 to 20 minutes discussing with each other what things you want or what things you can do as a family to help offset this cannonball effect.
Yeah, make sure you've eaten within a half an hour of this talk. So either while you're eating some meal or just after it, because you don't want to be in that hangry situation where you're
hungry and angry.
And then that this conversation won't work if you're in that state. So
some guidelines that we've seen work time and time again with couples is first, which I think is maybe one of the most important, is that you agree with your partner that if you're the returning partner coming home, that you will make it first priority. So the minute you walk in the door, set down your keys, you find your partner, you give them a hug, give them a kiss, a little word of encouragement.
Good to be home. Good to see you.
But that you seek out your partner first. And then as the returning partner, that you'll make yourself available to the stay-at-home partner for at least 3 to 5 minutes to get a quick rundown of the details or things that are going on. Because by agreeing to connect for those just 3 to 5 minutes before you retreat, you can know all the details from the stay-at-home partner.
And sometimes it's not a stay-at-home partner. Both of you might be working.
Yes.
And then it's even harder because you both have stuff not only to say to each other, but things that have to get done, things that you're sharing. So it's important every so often, if you started to argue and be snarky with each other, is to revisit what this transition is going to be like, what are the agreements going to be like. Maybe on different days they look different because of when you arrive home. You're a team, but the partnership doesn't work if you don't set the agreements. The agreements change every so often. And
sometimes you can go back to the cannonball effect and not even realize it. So next, what you want to do is agree on a transition routine for the returning home partner to engage in when they arrive home. We suggest that you encourage the come home partner to retreat to an office or outside to the garden, or take a shower, change their clothes, even take a brisk walk. Anything that helps the partner that's coming home unwind and unpack their mind from a long day away is going to be a great thing to include in this agreement.
Right. And I'm just going to warn you, sometimes guys like to actually just be in front of a large screen TV. It's their way of going into the cave to clear their mind.
Absolutely.
So it's not that they're ignoring, but that's more of a guy thing. Girls don't always do that. Sometimes, you might, but it's almost always guys use that to clear their mind.
So next thing that you want to do is set a time limit for how long this transition time needs to be. Like Sarah said earlier, we suggest somewhere between 15 to 45 minutes. Right. Too much shorter doesn't really seem to work, and too much longer.
I mean, just to go to the bathroom, get a drink, find your place, begin to settle is 15 minutes.
Right. And too much longer than 45 minutes, it starts to feel self-indulgent, we found. And it doesn't really add to the experience.
Right.
So also the last step is that you want to agree that as the returning home partner, that when you come out of your transition time, out of your office, out of the garden, back from a walk, that you will be in absolutely agreeable spirits and eager and ready to fully participate with your partner in whatever is on the agenda.
Right. I just want to add one caveat here. There are times where there is something real that's really intense or important. So you might come home and before you go away, your partner might say, I just need 3 minutes to go to the bathroom, you know, because, you know, we've got the, you know, the kids and their
especially
friends
if you
or
have
whatever.
small children at home.
Right. You know, just give me this 3 to 5 minutes, or I have to make this call back to the doctor. Can you just, you know, hang in with them and then you take your transition time. So you want to be available in case they just need that. Then you take the transition. So then you come back and they can do all the rest of their needs.
Such a good piece of information. Now, in addition to creating your transition agreement, there are a few things that the partner that's been away all day can do to make transitioning easier. So this is something, yes, this is something I really like to do. And that is, I establish a leave work routine. So I have a desk with lots of papers and lots of files. And about 15 minutes before I'm supposed to leave for the day, an alarm goes off on my computer to remind me. And then I straighten up my desk and I make sure that there's nothing that's super important that didn't get handled. And I put it in one pile. I put the pens away. I put the drawers away. And it sends a message to my mind that I'm ending the day from work. And that it really has shown to help me and help lots of people that we've worked with lessen their anxiety about leaving work, because it gives your mind a signal that that part of your life is coming to an end for the day. And
you also then know where to start on the next day.
Tip number 2 for the returning home partner is change your commute if you can. In LA, everything is a highway. It's terrible.
It may not be your whole commute. It might just be the last part after you've gotten off at your exit, and so it's from there back to your home. And sometimes there's other routes you could take, things that you can do, places you might stop to get a coffee, or there might be a little hyping, but something, ice cream, I don't know what.
Right. And like I find that when I'm driving home, sometimes I live in a part of town where adjacent to where I live are beautiful homes and it's very green. So sometimes I'll get off at the exit before I arrive home and I'll drive through that neighborhood wishing I had a beautiful house like this. And it just calms my mind a little bit. I don't go straight from the highway to my house because that's really harsh. Really harsh. So changing up that commute can be a great thing.
Of course, you also like to stop at a thrift store.
Yes, I do. I do like to stop at a thrift store. Oh, boy, do I ever.
You're so good at finding deals. Anyway, back to where we're just talking.
Yes, so like Sarah was saying, tip number 3 is take a stop at Starbucks. You'll be stunned at how much that can change your whole attitude after traffic. There are places,
or a place like that. It's
right. You could get a soda, you could get something, but just getting out of the car, getting a little snack, a little something, even a piece of fruit, can really make a difference in this crunch time routine that happens when you try to go from the highway back to home. This is a Sarah thing, and that is deep breathing.
Sarah thing, yes.
It's totally a Sarah thing. Now, you want to consider taking 5 minutes in the car. I've actually adopted this. I tried this the other day, and it was really helpful. I go to the car right before when I pull into the driveway. I take about 5 minutes, and I do deep breaths. I in for 4, out for 4. And believe it or not, I do it like 8 or 10 times.
Right.
And I usually play music when I do it in the car really loud. So I'm in my driveway, you got to imagine, right? I'm in my driveway with the music cranked up really loud going.
Yes, he does play the music really, really loud.
But let me tell you, it shakes the shingles right off the walls, and it really helps shake the stuff off my body.
Yeah.
And if I'm not relaxed when I do it, I just try it again and change the station. Works really well. So those are,
because part of that is as when you're exhaling.
Yeah.
Just think of yourself as letting go of all those negatives, letting go of all that.
All the junk from the day.
All the junk from the day. That's a good way. Yes, I like that.
So once you put these strategies into place, then you can try your transition agreement. So there's the things that you can do on your own before you get home, and the things you do that you agree with your partner.
Right.
And we're here to tell you that changing from a work mindset to a home mindset isn't easy. Because at work, you're supposed to be on-go, multitasking, doing a million things. At home, you need to be grounded, clear, effective, and a little more heart-centered than you do at the office.
Actually, it is easy to make the change if you follow a few steps in order to do it, most people don't think about it. So that's why it doesn't happen. It's not that it's a difficult process, but it is steps that you have to take.
Right.
And talk about and discuss and then do.
Because what we've seen time and time again is that when you do these steps, it's like you're creating an emotional demilitarized zone instead of a cannonball zone.
Yes.
And that's why we really, really wanted to share this with you, because we've seen it work all the time.
And it makes really a big difference, especially for couples that are fighting a lot, really snarky with each other, and just getting on each other, because this sets your evening, and then it sets the tone for
over to the night day, and even the morning after.
The next day. And so you're kind of doing this like a broken record, and it makes so many other things worse that get added on, and you just feel like it's
never ending. It's always conflict. Now
nicely said.
Thank you. Now you might be telling yourself, this is a lot of work. My partner should just deal with it or make it work on their own. We're going to tell you that fails every single time.
Yeah.
Because we can't caution you enough that coming home routine is a 2-person activity, not a 1-person activity.
Right.
Because if you don't take these steps, nobody gets what they want and everybody loses.
Right. So sometimes we forget that in a marriage and in a partnership, it's really about helping out each other. And it's easy to say, but I've been at work all day, or I've been doing this all day or that all day. Again, you're dividing your tasks and your areas or what it is you need to do. And that's why you need to discuss it and make it easy. The easier you make it, the more enjoyable your evenings are going to be.
That is for sure.
And when you're in the solution, then your week is more enjoyable, right, and your life is more enjoyable. And you're not, it's like you're putting a ton of negative energy.
That doesn't need to be there.
That doesn't need to be there. Right. Can it happen once in a while? Of course. But for these people, it's happening almost every single day.
So if you really want to make more room for love in your relationship, have less room for despair, and just function better in the evening and the next morning and the rest of the week and the rest of your life, then we really urge you to look at how your evening transition is working and to take these steps and to do these things to eliminate the cannonball effect.
Right.
After all, who doesn't want more love and attention in their relationship? I just want to say a quick shout out to Nate Flanders.
Yes. Nice to have you here with us.
And Ginge Wilding, it looks like, joined. And Alison Wilkie Alexander joined us.
So cool.
We always love you when you come on board with us. It's always a treat to have you join us.
Yes.
And if you'd like more.
And remember to tell us where you're from.
Oh, absolutely. We love that part.
We know where you're from, but generally.
Yeah, I know where Nate Flanders is from. Yeah. My husband's a Flanders, so I get it. If you like more, you can find us at Couple Success here on Facebook. We are also on Instagram at Couple Success.
Right.
Yep. So you can find us lots of places.
Or go to our website. CoupleSuccess.com.
And if you have questions or things that you'd like us to address in the future, you can always type them in or send them to us on Instagram.
Yes. You can even direct a message if you need to.
Absolutely.
If you want it to be a little private. So just, send it to us and then we'll start addressing them.
And so again, thank you to everyone that joined us. We've seen this work time and time again, and we hope it works for you.
Yes. Remember,
life is better when done together.